Hey guys, how you doing? It's Art from Art's Model Trains. So I'm back again with the Legacy Polar Express from Lionel that just came out over the last couple of weeks. I've owned the engine now for about 5 days and been running it every night. And I have a few thoughts about this engine. So let's talk about some of the good things from this engine. First, sound set is fantastic. If you've owned the Lion Chief Plus 2.0 Polar Express, a jump up to this one, you get much more variety and crew talk. Obviously, the whistles, bell, all that, as well as all you may be able to hear the legacy steam effects and everything in the background going off. The details, obviously, in the engine are much higher level, being that it is legacy. Love the paint job on this. It has like a nice matte finish. The lettering and everything is very crisp and a little bit like a muted gold and not like a bright shiny gold, which is really nice. Smokes like crazy. Whistle steam is actually really cool. The whistle steam effect hole is actually under the little plastic whistle, so when the smoke comes out, it disperses everywhere, which is really cool. And obviously, I've only had it for 5 days, but running it like crazy, it runs great. Been pulling everything I can possibly pull behind it, including a long string of non-Polar Express passenger cars while I wait for those to come in on pre-order later this year. So let's talk about some of the downsides or negatives, I guess you could say, that I have seen from this engine. Let's start with the most obvious. I talked about those crew talk and sounds that Lionel has put into this engine and how fantastic they are, but they're really kind of random and hard to get to. With the base 3 and the app, I was hoping that the list of crew talk and tower comm messages in the if you swipe left on the app would line up with things that this engine could say, but it's all the generic phrases, half of which do nothing, and the others, when you hit them, actually don't say the same thing over and over again. If they say random things, even if the engine is idle and you hit the button once, it'll say one thing, you hit it again, it'll say another thing. So I kind of, to me, misses the point of those lists of commands, is they should be allowed to select at will which dialogue piece you'd like to pull up. So one other thing that kind of baffles me a little bit is the lack of a startup sequence and a shutdown sequence in this legacy engine as well. It can't be because Lionel didn't want to use generic sounds and dialogue in this, because the tower comm for this locomotive is that generic Mr. Lionel kind of conversation. It's only when you use the engine dialogue that you actually get the Polar Express specific dialogue. So I'm really baffled as to why there's no startup and shutdown sequence, because it's kind of feels like a miss to me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, so you guys let me know in the comments if I am, but it doesn't do the startup or shutdown sequence for me. So maybe my engine's just defective. I don't know. But I just found that very odd. And I'll play some of that dialogue for you now. Hopefully my mic will pick it up.
Switchless says we've got one off and three on at the head end.
Some cool sound effects in there as well, along with the dialogue.
Carlockers heading your way. Make sure everything's good.
All right, so just generic crew talk. So why couldn't they have put a startup and a shutdown sequence in this?
Just remember, the true spirit of Christmas lies in your heart.
Maybe I'm being a Grinch then. Second, I think I talked about this in my unboxing video, the crew figures. I really wish they took the time to put the right crew figures into this. I know it's not like, a huge thing that you can really see that much, but like, come on, it's the Polar Express. They has the engineer and the fireman are like the two big characters in the movie. You could have put them inside the engine. And speaking of that, one thing I really miss so far from this engine compared to the Lion Chief Plus 2.0 is the little pegs that are on the front of the engine for you to put the characters on. I bought the characters separately, and I'm hoping to do something with them. I don't want to glue them, obviously, to the front of the engine, but I'd like to figure out a way to at least put them on there for when I want them to be on the front of the engine or the side of the engine, anything like that. And then while we're talking about that Lion Chief Plus 2.0 engine, the one thing I was a little disappointed here is, like, yes, this is a legacy engine. It does have much better detail in it, but I was a little surprised there's not more separately applied details here. It actually looks at first glance just like a larger version of the Lion Chief Plus 2.0 engine. I think they could have gone a little bit further with some of the separately applied details. Again, maybe that's my opinion only. Maybe that would have been too much for Lionel to pull off with the tooling and too expensive, but just something I'm noticing. So, maybe for those who have the Lion Chief Plus 2.0 version of this, it may not be as big of a deal to jump up to this locomotive if you're only doing it for the extra details and sounds, things like that. And speaking of sounds, so the last thing on my list is those 5 whistles that Lionel has in here. Don't get me wrong, they're excellent whistles. I actually don't know what the correct whistle is for the Burke, so I'm sure a bunch of people are going to comment in the comments below and give me a hard time about that. I'd have to look it up. They do have one that is specific to the movie, really cool. But the others are really generic and actually have, I think, all of those other whistles are in my consolidation, my New York Central consolidation. So I was looking for something a little more unique, specific to this engine outside of the one movie-like whistle they put in here. Just because, again, it is the Polar Express, you'd think they do something a little more special than just one separate whistle. So thanks for watching, guys. Just a couple quick thoughts off the top of my head about the Polar Express Legacy Edition. Now that I've owned it for 5 days, like I said, just a couple of things that I've noticed. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.